Janelle King is a member of the Georgia State Board of Elections who voted for the change, as well as a Republican strategist. Janelle, welcome to the show. I've spent a lot of time in your great state of Georgia, once again on the forefront of election scrutiny. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and shout out to River Street.
Love River Street, right? Okay, so let's talk about the measure that you voted for. It reads this, just for our viewers. If discrepancies arise between the hand count and recorded totals, the poll manager must resolve and document the inconsistency. The counted ballots are sealed in labeled containers, signed to ensure integrity, end quote. Okay, Janelle, talk to me about how this process would work. Is it up to each poll manager to investigate if issues arise? Will it stay within the building instead of federally or nationally getting noticed?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So, just to be clear, this rule will have our poll workers counting just the paper of the ballot, not what's on the ballot. So, tabulation is a totally different perspective, a totally different job. This will not impact the projected winner or any of that. What we've asked is that our precincts will look at the end of the night at their scanners. What we're talking about is on average 300 ballots, maybe a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more. All together, they're going to go there at the end of the night, pull those ballots out, and instead of just throwing them into the container to send them to the election office, we ask that they stack them together and just count the edges. Really, really simple, really, really quick. If there is slight delays, it won't be anything like what they're talking about. Matter of fact, there are a lot of counties that currently do this because they want to ensure accuracy. And the way we see it is if the precinct level count is accurate, the county would be accurate, and then the state count would be accurate.
And this does seem simple enough, but there are critics, there are experts that say this makes the election results less secure. You'll have local officials opening up the ballot boxes all over the state. Another issue is many poll workers have already completed their required training. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, so the additional training that will be required is just basic counting. You know, what we're asking them to do is to just ensure that they've pulled every ballot out of that scanner. What I've heard across the state was that there were county election officials who would receive some scanners and they would find ballots from the last election still in the scanner. When you have things like that, how do we have an accurate recount when we have ballots that are still in scanners? We saw that the precincts in like some of our precincts in Fulton County, which is one of our largest counties, we saw that the largest amount of ballots that they may have is up to 1,700. So when we saw that, we amended this rule and we said that now, if you have 750 ballots or more, you can come back the next business day and count during the certification week as long as it's before an audit. So therefore, you don't have to worry about individuals being tired at the end of the night. Again, this is something that's creating uniformity. We saw that it's the best practice in some of our counties that have the least amount of errors in their election process. And so we thought it would be great to have this across the board, again, ensuring accuracy.
You mentioned the other counties. Georgia's Secretary of State, who is a Republican, says this isn't a good idea. This is what he said. Quick reporting of results is a hallmark of Georgia's election administration and bolsters voter confidence. Delays in results create a vacuum that leads to misinformation and disinformation. So, Janelle, I pose a question to you. What do you say to those voters that are worried about a confusion that could delay the ultimate outcome?
Well, much like our Secretary of State, who prefers speed over accuracy in this case, I think that we have to stress that accuracy is the goal and that this has not been an issue for other counties or other states who do count their ballots as well. Again, this should not impact the projected winner or tabulation in any way. That being said, I really, really wish our Secretary of State would communicate with the board. He has yet to have sent anything from his office, directly from him, I should say, to us stating these concerns and figuring out a way to work with us. Instead, he criticizes the board and he criticizes a lot of our decisions without providing any help or assistance. With him being the chief election officer, I really, really would expect more out of him.
I want to bring up what happened in 2020. We have to. We witnessed Trump trying to overturn his loss in Georgia. Some have expressed concerns that these new rules could make it easier this time around. What do you say to that?
I actually think it's the opposite. So when we had election board members who decided not to certify in 2020 as well as in 2022, and the reason being it's because they didn't feel confident in the count. They didn't feel confident that they had enough information. Well, our rule that allowed them to have a reasonable inquiry within the certification week without delaying certification, I think will help with that, as well as having this type of rule in place to ensure accuracy. This only restores confidence. This only gives our election county officials more confidence in their decision to sign that legal affidavit stating that their election was free of fraud, that it was perfect, and that it was accurate. That is a number a word I keep using because that is what's written on their affidavit. And should they sign that affidavit and it comes out that their election was not that, they could be punished with a felony. So we are giving them more. I think that this will absolutely secure our elections.
All right, we will be watching. The country will be watching. Janelle King, thank you so much. We hope you come back. We appreciate it.